Hey gang, sorry I'm a little late getting this Watch This TV episode up, but it is a pretty busy weekend. Well, in this episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, we're going deep dive into Trek lore. But first, due to the fallout from the trial from episode 2, Pike learns that his girlfriend did not get the promotion she was up for. And although it wasn't said, it had to do with the fact that she lost the case against Una. You know, for all their Valentine logic, it's obvious the Vice Admiral was being petty. And it wasn't like she didn't do a great job in the prosecution. They just got outmaneuvered by their own rules and regulations. Anyway, Pike, of course, blames himself and pushes her away. And so they part on bad terms. Then Pike is notified that there's a problem on Rigel 7. Now, longtime fans will remember that Rigel 7 came up during the first pilot for Star Trek, The Cage, which was then adapted into a 2-part episode in the regular Trek, where, although the main focus was Pike being captured by these aliens and being put in like kind of a zoo-like thing. Before that, it is brought up that they had just gotten out of a terrible mission on Rigel 7 in which Pike lost 3 crew members. Well, they've been notified by Starfleet that this is months and months later, maybe even a couple years, that the topographical mapping of Rigel 7 has shown a large Starfleet insignia on top of a building. So, as Pike puts it, he and the crew are being sent there to clean up their mess. And when they arrive, Ortegas, the pilot, is very excited because she's going to pilot the shuttlecraft down. The radiation from the planet cannot allow them to beam down, so they have to take a shuttle. But then Spock, always Spock, finds that the asteroid belt has some problems, and they're going to need Ortegas to stay. There's radiation. They've got strange radiation they're trying to figure out. And she's going to need to be there to pilot, to keep out of the asteroid belt, and maintain orbit and all that stuff. So she's a little put out, but so be it. So Leanne, Dr. Mbanga, and Pike all head down. And they dress in, according to that planet, they are very non-technological. Now, in the original pilot, they were made to look very Mongolian. But here, it's more Conan the Barbarian style of characters. That's what I'm going with anyways. So they go down, and after a while, Leanne is starting to get headaches. She's missing time. And it's just starting to worry them. And they're almost captured immediately as they're like within sighting of the building, and they're captured by guards. And they're taken to the leader, who just happens to be Zach, one of the crew members they thought lost. And well, he's not too happy to see them. I mean, he's violated the Prime Directive horrendously. He set himself up as a warlord, basically. There are his guards, and there are the others that do all the work. And he locks the three of them into a cage, letting them know there is a strange radiation on this planet. It starts with headaches, a ringing noise, loss of time, and then you'll just forget everything. Who you are, your past. Basic skills like speech and walking, those things will remain, but everything else will be gone. And this happens every day. Every day is a clean slate. So they're thrown in a cage, and the next day, they have no idea who they are or who any of their friendship, nothing. And they're taken on a work detail to crack rocks and cut wood. Meanwhile, on the Enterprise, these things are starting to happen to the crew. Chapel is thinking it's a virus of some kind, but she can't find it. I mean, first it's Uhura, then it's other crew members. Even Una starts to become affected. Spock comes up with the idea of keeping, everyone gets a data pad and they have their personal information on it. So if they forget, they can look, and there it is. Unfortunately, everyone eventually gets affected, and the data pad idea, while a good idea, doesn't work because nobody remembers how to read. And they're starting to get hit with rocks from the asteroid field. Back on the planet, Pike has a little necklace that his girlfriend gave him, and it's giving him something tangible to hold on to. Not the memory, but the feeling of someone you love. And he knows there is a connection between him, or Leanne Noonan Singh, and Dr. Mbenga. And they all feel it too. And talking to basically an elder who kind of helps all new people kind of get centered in their forgetfulness. He has this huge talisman that has their history, and every morning he refers to it to recenter himself. And the legend is that their memories are all kept in a box in the palace. And the reason the guards and the ruler isn't affected is their memories are not taken and kept in a box. So they head to the tower. Unfortunately, I forgot. During their escape from the quarry, Leanne got injured, and Megan knows he was a healer, but he doesn't know enough to save her. So she's slowly slipping away from her wound, and so they've got to get there, get their memories, and save Leanne. Meanwhile, back up on the Enterprise, Ortega has inadvertently made vocal contact with the ship's computer. And during their conversations, the ship's computer, she knows that they're going to be destroyed by the asteroids hitting the ship eventually. And during the back and forth with the computer notifies her of her name and position on the ship. And using this as a mantra, my name is Ortega, I fly the ship. She gets back to the bridge, and despite Spock not thinking it's a good idea, since they don't know what any of this equipment is, to start messing with it, muscle memory kicks in and she's able to fly. And with that, she is able to get more of her skill back. And she's pulling them away from the asteroid field and away from the planet. And it is an exciting sequence as she's weaving in and out. And at one point, fires phasers into a large cluster, shattering them and zipping right through, threading the needle, as she calls it. Meanwhile, Leanne can't make it all the way to the tower. She is left with the Elder. Mbinga and Pike are trapped by gunfire. They managed to get some guns themselves from a couple of guards. And with Mbinga covering him, Pike makes it into the tower, takes out all the guards, and comes to a face-to-face with Zack, at which point he beats him into the ground, demanding constantly, "Where's the box with our members? Where's the box with our members?" And he says, "There is no box." And then finally, when Pike is going to just shoot him, his memories come back. Turns out a large asteroid landed on the planet, and its radiation is what's causing these effects. But the metal in the tower and the helmets worn by the guards and Zack are what prevent them from being affected by it. And once Pike was inside long enough, he stopped being affected. So, Leanne's brought in. She's healed. And the Elder, who was afraid of getting his memories back, is now glad his memories are returned. And they take Zack with them to stand trial for violating the Prime Directive. And Pike doesn't exactly break the Prime Directive, but he kind of bends it by using tractor beams to pull that asteroid up and throwing it back into the asteroid field. When Spock tries to argue, Pike actually outlogics him at one point. Returning Zack to a prisoner transfer, Pike and the captain, girlfriend, have another discussion in which Pike admits he's always pushing people away and he doesn't want to with her, and they make amends, and they're going to work on somehow making this relationship of two ship captains work. Really good story. Not as good as last week's because, well, that one's going to be hard to top, but this is really good. Good action in it. Pike finally gets an episode to himself after being sidelined the last 3 episodes. Hopefully Ortegas will get one of her own because she was really excited to go down on the planet. I'd like to see her handle herself in an adventure too. And the whole thing with Zack was interesting, being left on the planet, not knowing that he wasn't dead, and then just resentment building. And I liked the statement that the radiation reveals who you really are. Pike would not have done what Zack did. And Zack now has to live with the knowledge that, yeah, he is that bad a person. It had nothing to do with being abandoned. Really, another thoughtful episode. I liked some of the comedy of people forgetting, although it was a dangerous situation. A little fun with it on the ship. But yeah, good episode. Looking forward to next week's, or I should say this week's. Please hit like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.